As your family gathers to celebrate the holiday, we wanted to give you a little bit of a history lesson.
Yeah, history lesson's always fun. Celebrity historian Rafi Andonian stopped by with an interesting dish to discuss how George Washington celebrated the holidays. Take a look. George Washington became the father of the country during the Christmas season with the defining moment of the American Revolution. Now, historian Rafi Andonian is here to give us a little more history on what it was like to spend Christmas with George Washington. Thanks for being here, Rafi.
Hey, Rafi.
Great to see you.
Very festive, like the bow tie.
Yeah.
Big and fat, like a big Christmas present.
I love it.
I love that we're talking about this. It's just something that we wouldn't think about, and that's why we have you here, because you're the historian, our in-house historian. How did George Washington spend Christmas?
Think about the song. One of the all-time biggest hits in record sales is Bing Crosby's I've been dreaming about a white Christmas.
Sure.
Well, George Washington spent a white Christmas on December 25th of 1776 in the thick of the Revolution, the famous crossing of the Delaware River.
Right,
You've probably seen that image with all the ice and snow. Really was a white Christmas. Some of his men didn't even make it across the river. Surprised the British during the American Revolutionary War because he did it on Christmas Day, because they thought nobody would be crazy enough to do a holiday with the weather.
On Christmas.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's how he got him, and he gets to one of the historic victories shortly after that as a result of doing that on Christmas Day. And that turns around the war. That's one of the darkest moments of the war, when it doesn't look good. That really turns around a string of kind of successes for the Americans. Now, it does get bad again later on in the winter at Valley Forge in Pennsylvania, 1777, 1778. So around Christmas, he settles into winter camp just so he could suffer with his men. So once again, around Christmas time, he saved the day with Christmas. And the final thing is, when of course, the revolution was won and the country was independent, he actually surrendered his commission just 2 days before Christmas as a Christmas gift to the country, saying that I'm not going to keep the power that you had given me as military commander, which of course sets a huge precedent later on, which when he was president also, but first in the military. He wanted to give back power to the people that had given him the power, which is a huge thing. So Christmas is huge for George Washington and this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had no idea.
What were some of maybe the celebrations or traditions that were happening back then?
Yeah, he's not always on the battlefield, so let's say he's at home, right? This is actually George Washington's Yorkshire Christmas pie, and you can make it. There's actually a recipe at noshingswithnicole.com, a food blog that carries some of these historical recipes. So this is originated from Mount Vernon, where his home is. It's like a chicken pot pie.
You're going to cut into this thing?
Let's do it.
Yes.
It's like a chicken pot pie.
Okay.
And except it has pork and bacon and turkey in there. So it's very meat heavy, like a lot of colonial dishes.
Gotcha.
So you would cut a hole in it like this.
Okay.
And then get the gravy in there as you're cutting it. That's right.
Okay.
As you're opening the hole, you just keep pouring it in there and then let it settle in. And then you cut your pieces. That's how you would eat this. In there. You can keep cutting if you like.
So you would pour the gravy in, just kind of let it settle.
That's right. Let it settle in.
There.
Now, what's fascinating about these is what it would be like.
This is dense, I want to say.
It is really dense. That's why I'm having a hard time cutting it.
There's a lot of meat
What's
in there.
fascinating is they would do it in true English form, 2 courses for a Christmas feast. Except the funny thing is, each course has multiple parts. Each part has multiple dishes, so it adds up to 20 to 40 dishes for a Christmas feast. Even though it's like, quote unquote, two courses. Now, that is relying on an English tradition. They would celebrate the 12 days of Christmas.
Yes.
And the English would do feasting, drinking, gambling, masquerade balls. This is the kind of stuff that the English did. And they're carrying over just some of that over here in Virginia. And New England wouldn't quite do this, but George Washington and the Virginians would certainly do this sort of thing and have a great party.
The lid back there.
What's inside.
That's right. There you go. Yeah, there's the bacon.
Wow.
There's multiple kinds of meat: turkey, pork, chicken. It is again very typical of the meals back then. Is very meat and carb heavy. Very low on vegetables. We got some for garnish, of course. That's what they would do, but not a lot of veggies
My
in there.
kids would love this.
That's why a lot of founders got gout. Just because
because all the meat. That makes sense. Yes. Here's a question for you: when did the U.S. recognize Christmas as a national holiday?
Not until well after a century after George Washington's period that we're talking about. In 1870 is when Christmas comes national holiday. A couple of times Congress actually met on Christmas Day. They would kind of hang out around a session. And many Americans didn't agree on celebrating Christmas, like New Englanders, for example, outside of Virginia. They thought it was too Catholic, and they wanted to be kind of more separate from the English church, for example.
Sure, yeah.
So they didn't do it, but later on, over time, over the 19th century, later in the 19th and early 20th century, you get the Christmas tree tradition here. You also get more gifts. Back in the day, you would give gifts maybe only to kids. Now we give it to everyone.
Everybody.
So it's really really kind of, I would say 1870, when it becomes a national holiday, is when some of the trends that we recognize take off, and there's more national consensus on how to celebrate Christmas.
Okay.
One way I like to celebrate Christmas is through eating. So I'm so glad
Exactly.
you brought this. Maybe we'll get a chance to try this.
Thanksgiving
after the
starts
break.
it, Christmas ends. It's a
You
nice
got it.
bookend for feasting, right?
Yes.
True, that's
And we got to do it
true.
in the true English style, eating all
Yeah.
kinds of courses and all kinds of parties.
That's right.
Yeah.
Rafi, again, thanks for joining us and filling us
Yes.
in. We love it.
Yes. How can people find you on social media, Rafi?
You go at Celebrity Historian and at Celebrity_Historian on Instagram and on YouTube, or you can go to celebrityhistorian.com and it's all on there, social media and other things.
Okay,
Great.
Rafi, happy holidays. Thank
Yeah,
you
happy
so much
Thank
for
you.
holidays.
joining
Yeah,
us.
happy holidays
you.
to you
Yeah.
all as well.